The crystal chandeliers sparkled in the five-star hotel lobby when the manager leaned in and hissed quietly, but full of venom. "Move this chair further back, please. You scare guests at the entrance." Behind the front desk, sitting in her wheelchair, Janaína took a deep breath. A black woman, fat, missing her left arm, scars marking her neck and part of her face. As the suited guests walked by, they avoided her eyes, as if she were a defective piece of decor. But on that shift, on that gala night, the entire hotel was about to learn who she really was. Janaína was 34 and had worked for 4 years as the night receptionist at that luxury beachfront hotel. She had used a wheelchair since an accident in her teens. She lost her left arm, gained deep scars all over her body, and as a bonus, a world of sideways glances. Black, plus-size, uniform tight on her shoulders, and a smile trained in the mirror to hide the pain. While the Instagram standard colleagues stayed at the main front desk taking photos with famous guests, she was always scheduled for the emptiest shift. Because at night people don't notice so much, her elegant, spotless manager liked to say. That week, the hotel was preparing to host an event for powerful business people. Manager Augusto repeated the same speech. "Image is everything, folks. First impressions decide if the client comes back or not." He looked at the slim, blonde, high-heel receptionists and skipped over Janaína with his eyes, as if she were just another chair in the lobby. "Jana, you stay in the back today, okay? Just handle the system and bookings. Let the visual part to the girls," he said, pointing discreetly to the side where no one could see. One co-worker whispered, laughing, "Girl, I wish I had a job like yours, just sitting and hiding." Another added, "At least here no one complains about the before and after, right?" Their giggles cut deeper than any scar. When a foreign guest arrived and asked something in English, Janaína answered fluently, but Augusto stepped in front of her. "I take care, sir," completely ignoring her presence. As he walked behind the desk afterward, he said, "No need to try so hard, Jana. Our audience isn't ready. You understand?" She did understand. She understood that in their minds she was good enough to stay up all night fixing online check-ins, solving system issues, speaking 3 languages on the phone, but not good enough to be the hotel's face. In the hallways, some guests whispered when they saw her, "Wow, bold for a place like this. Is this some inclusion program?" It felt like her presence always needed a social explanation. Janaína swallowed it all in silence as her fingers flew over the keyboard, organizing bookings, predicting problems no one else saw. Everything seemed under control, till nothing was under control anymore. The night of the event arrived with heavy rain and thunder tearing across the sky. The lobby was packed with expensive suits, sparkling dresses, and glasses of champagne. Janaína's co-workers smiled at everyone, perfectly trained for every photo. From her hidden station, she watched the booking panel and the hotel's power system. She noticed something strange, a warning flashing about an overload on the floor with the conference rooms where the main presentation would take place. She tried to warn Augusto over the radio. "Management, this is Janaína. There's something wrong with the 3rd floor circuit. The load is fluctuating a lot." He replied impatient, "Jana, not tonight. Just do the basics and leave the technical stuff to maintenance, okay? We've got important guests here. Don't invent problems." Minutes later, the lobby lights flickered. On her screen, the alert turned red. Janaína frowned, remembering the safety courses she had taken on her own after watching news of a fire in another hotel on TV. She called the on-duty technician directly. "Mr. Roberto, this is Jana at reception. The system shows an overload on the 3rd floor near the main hall. If that shorts out with all those people up there, it's going to be chaos." On the other end, a few seconds of silence, then his startled answer, "I hadn't seen that. I'm going up now." Meanwhile, on stage, the event's director was about to start a multi-million-dollar presentation with all the equipment plugged into the same circuit. A guest with reduced mobility was also up there, near an emergency exit that had been locked. so it wouldn't ruin the aesthetic. Trusting her instincts, Janaína triggered the partial evacuation protocol that no one had ever used. She called security, asking them to discreetly start guiding people toward alternate exits. When the first short circuit plunged everything into darkness a few minutes later, the hotel didn't fall into panic. Because, before the blackout, someone invisible had already seen the danger. The blackout lasted less than a minute. But for those upstairs it felt like an eternity. There were screams, people tripping, glasses shattering. But the emergency lights switched on in the correct sequence. Security staff were already at the doors, and the technician managed to shut down the circuit before fire broke out behind the main panel. In the lobby, one of the event organizers came down, still out of breath, asking, "Who triggered the protocol? If we hadn't had those emergency lights and guards at the doors, this would have been a disaster." "Mr." Roberto pointed without hesitation. "It was her. Janaína saw it all beforehand. If it weren't for this young lady, we'd be on tomorrow's headlines for all the wrong reasons." The silence in the lobby felt different this time. It wasn't the awkward silence of pretending she didn't exist. It was the silence of people slapped in the face by their own arrogance. Augusto, the manager, had to swallow his pride. He called Janaína to the center of the main reception, right under the chandeliers, and introduced her to the event director and the hotel owner. "She saved the night," he admitted, voice slightly shaking. The hotel owner, a man used to looking only at numbers, really looked at the person for the first time. He saw the wheelchair, the fat body, the missing arm, the scars, and above all that, the steadiness in her eyes. Days later, a behind-the-scenes video telling the story of the receptionist who prevented a disaster went viral on the hotel's social media. Comments begged for more people like her at the front, not hidden in the back. When they officially announced Janaína's new role, head of guest service and safety, no one called it too bold. They called it what it was, finally fair. Now anyone who walks into the hotel sees Janaína right at the entrance, with her new badge and a gaze that commands respect. She didn't need to change her body. It was the world around her that finally learned how to see. The same people who once looked away now greet her with pride. The same co-workers who laughed now ask her for advice. And the manager, once as polished as he was cold, now listens in silence to every word she says. Janaína didn't have to prove she was capable. She just got what everyone deserves, the chance to be seen without filters. How many Janas do you know who are still invisible, hidden behind counters, doors, uniforms, or labels? Maybe you've also felt the weight of being the exception, the different one, the one who doesn't fit. But remember, your very presence is already an act of resistance. If this story touched you, write in the comments, "I am not a beauty mistake." And don't forget, subscribe to the channel Unstoppable Underrated and share this with someone the world tries to hide, to remind them that dignity and talent don't have a standard. They have courage.